Let's freaking go. Arkansas Razorback fans, you guys know Mondays at 5 p.m., always dedicated to you guys. But we're talking the entire SEC today, including my first edition of the SEC Power Rankings. I'll go ahead and say it. LSU should be everybody's number one because that victory was better than any victory of the elite teams in all of college football. We'll see if LSU can keep it going, but we'll get into all of that in just a second. So, to me, I want to share my Arkansas expertise in one area that I feel I'm a little bit more qualified to talk about than a few other people that do Arkansas Razorback content. And it's the South Arkansas relationship with the city of Little Rock, right? So, Little Rock, Arkansas, of course, is a fine establishment of a city. Okay. Um, I used to go to Little Rock multiple times a week to perform stand up comedy. I love Little Rock. I really do. But the truth is, this rivalry between the Little Rock location of War Memorial and the Fayetteville location, which is in the backdrop right here, is a pretty old argument for people that have been following Arkansas for so long. And the relationship with War Memorial and Arkansas Razorback football is just, I wouldn't say broken, but it has faded, if you will. So I grew up and spent a good bit of my life in South Arkansas. And the best thing about the Little Rock game is that Arkansas is the only show in town in the state of Arkansas. It's the only major team in Arkansas, with all due respect to the Travelers and whatnot. The truth is, no one cares anymore about the Little Rock game, at least in my circles. And the truth is, when LSU and that game was taken away from Little Rock every other year, and the Little Rock game used to being an SEC or a Power Four game every year, now that that is eroded, people have been caring less. And then you get into 2015, where Arkansas got beat by Toledo, and that game was in Little Rock, and some people thought it was a Little Rock thing, which I do think is somewhat valid because that 2015 team ended up being good. Um, it's something, right? And now you're playing this very boisterous rivalry game that is so hard for me in the preseason to really layer as far as how I look at Arkansas State, them being a good program over the years, but honestly, how I feel about Arkansas playing Arkansas State. Um, I hate this spot for the Razorbacks. I really do. You played a game last week versus a team that I think could end up hurting you in the long run when you play a team as bad as Alabama A&M. And on top of that, you have an Arkansas State team that cares way more about this game than you do. And you have a coach who is saying what he is saying about the Little Rock game. And I totally get Sam Pittman's side of it as well because, well, he doesn't like the game, right? I don't think he hates the game, but I do think it's something when Arkansas fans feel some type of way about the game and the coach feels basically the same way, the animosity towards playing a game every year in Little Rock. So here's what Sam Pittman had to say about it earlier today.
Um, I don't know that there's any advantage for us, in all honesty, to go to Little Rock and play Arkansas State. It's closer for them. Um, uh, it's like when we used to go over there and play Mississippi State. It's closer for them. I just don't know that there's going to be 20, 30,000 people less, but from what I understand, it hadn't been packed when I as since I've been a head coach, and hopefully this one is, and it's as loud as Peyton Manning says it is over there. We sure would like that to be the case, but future wise, I don't really have a lot of say so in that. Um, uh, the games have been over there. History, you know, I still think history of the power of the Hogs in our state is a bunch of it is because we would take the team over to Little Rock. And, there were certainly different times then, less hotels, less television, where the Hogs could go over there and people could drive up and see the Hogs play and turn around and go home. Obviously, it didn't work out so much, driving from Northwest Arkansas over there, but they could still do it. Uh, Obviously, the stadium was much better than the one we had here in those days. So there's a lot of things have changed. Television has changed, guys. It's changed everything in college football. Uh, so I don't know what the advantage of it is going over there, except for the passion of the state for the Hogs. And going over there, I think, certainly continues that in the state of Arkansas.
So it wasn't like the most glowing endorsement, but he says something that I think is very important, is that Arkansas does have the entire state and playing the game in Little Rock where powerful people still do exist. I went and had a great lunch in Little Rock a few weeks ago. Actually, it was 2 weeks ago. And man, I love the people of Little Rock. I like War Memorial, but I think the game is past its due. And yes, people in Little Rock probably wanted to stay, but I just don't see a world where it is a thing that remains, if that makes sense. So there you go. I do think that's going to be a whole different story going into this Arkansas State game. We say hi to one of my biggest Tennessee supporters. Hogs better cover that 21.5. I went heavy. And since we don't have a whole lot of viewers, I want to talk some Tennessee now. If we got some Tennessee volunteers in the chat. And look, I know most people come to Power Hour SEC for the film studies. I love doing the film studies. I really do. But this is what I love doing more than anything else. Just the simple conversation with the lovely audience of SEC Nation. Let's go. So let's talk Tennessee. It's weird because I felt this way when watching Arkansas. Braylon Russell was a player that gave Arkansas a ton of headaches, but he's so daggum talented. You still want him on the team, and he did some good things, obviously, this past week. Same thing is true with Boo Carter, who put Tennessee through the ringer, but he's so talented. You saw him play this weekend. You saw this Tennessee defense really hit the ground running. And this is the beauty of college football, is that no one player, especially in college football, ever makes a team. All right. So, with Tennessee, the story was, hey, what do we make about this Tennessee defense with Omar Norman Lott gone and James Pierce gone? Well, this Tennessee defense came out and made some explosive plays. Absolutely, positively explosive. Obviously highlighted by the fumble recovery for a touchdown. But the story, of course, is Joey Aguilar. And in most of our SEC film studies, we do focus mostly on offense. How is Tennessee going to run the football without Dylan Sampson? No problem. Two ran the football really well. Bishop is a force. And I like the fact he's old school, bare hands, no gloves. Okay. Now, that's not a message that I ever want to get out, though, because we should be telling our youngsters to use more gloves when they make love. No, I'm kidding. That was just a cheesy joke. But for real, wear protection. Trojan, hit me up. NIL sponsorships for days. Look, I'll be honest. Joey Aguilar looked like the real deal. Okay. This is what I will say about Tennessee. And I was speaking to Tennessee reporters, with my main thing being LSU and as much NFL stuff. I'm not able to keep up with the day-to-day Tennessee Volunteer news and notes and practice reports. And boy, were the Tennessee practice reports negative regarding this offense going into Syracuse. But the truth is very simple. Josh Heupel is a top 5 SEC coach. I'm so sick and tired of people not putting Josh Heupel in at least the top 5. He is so damn good. And What do I get all the time when I open up social media? Josh Heupel slander. I see it all the time, whether it's, well, his offense doesn't produce for the NFL. It just doesn't produce. And the NFL, shut the hell up. Just because Hendon Hooker got cut and Joe Milton didn't work out for the Cowboys, the exact opposite is true. The exact opposite is true. Josh Heupel will get mid-journeyman quarterbacks and turn them into superstars. Hendon Hooker not working out in the NFL has more to do with Hendon Hooker than it does Josh Heupel. Joe Milton struggling with the Cowboys has more to do with Joe Milton. The truth is simple. Josh Heupel is a top 5 SEC head coach. And there are plenty out there that say, well, his offense has a ceiling and you'll never win a national championship with that offense. Stop with that nonsense. It's nonsense. First off, this idea that everything in college football has to be about national championships is so dumb. It's so dumb. It's so hard to win a national championship in college football. Bad coaches have won national championships in college football. It's random. There's more to it than how you are as a head coach. And this is what I would say as far as Tennessee fans. I will be honest, I'm not even a Tennessee fan. I was with you when I hate watched Nico versus Utah. And I didn't watch. I was still alive at the time. But the truth is, last year, the offensive struggles had everything to do with Nico. It wasn't the receivers. I would say a good 80% of it was Nico. And the offensive tackle play was bad. But a lot of it was Nico. Because he stunk this weekend for UCLA. So let's just go through the quarterbacks that have looked unbelievable under Josh Heupel. Hendon Hooker, who was okay at Virginia Tech, could have won the Heisman if he didn't tear his ACL. Joe Milton, who was bad at Michigan, bad early on, turned out to be solid at Michigan, and we'll see how he does in the NFL. But he's done, I guess. And now we have Joey Aguilar, who was just pick city, but an amazing deep ball thrower, a guy who's played a lot of snaps. And what does he do? Josh Heupel turns him into one of the best quarterbacks in the SEC in week 1. The bottom line remains the same. Josh Heupel has to be in your top 5 SEC head coaches. He has to be. Has to be. All right. You want to put Kirby Smart ahead of him? Sure. You want to put Steve Sarkisian ahead of him? Sure. Those are the only two, though, for me. Those are the only two. And those are 10 times better jobs in Tennessee. Well, 10 times might be a little too strong. But outside of those two, now, if you want to talk about career, Brian Kelly dusted him in his career. It's not close. But Brian Kelly's older, right? He's already in the College Football Hall of Fame, and he's probably going to go far this year with LSU, or he should. But if you take out career and you just take out how the teams have performed under their leadership, it's Josh freaking Heupel. He's got to be number 3. He has got to be number 3. Kirby is the only guy that could be ahead of him, for sure, right now in the Southeastern Conference. I would also have Shane Beamer in my top 5. And I'm not just saying that. Like I said a few weeks ago in Little Rock, Arkansas, had a great lunch, invited up by some Power Hour SEC viewers, some really cool, successful people. And they said, hey, who are your guys? Who are your top 5 coaches in the SEC? Man, if I'm Arkansas and I can give Josh Heupel or Shane Beamer a blank check, you guys are winning like crazy. Crazy. Okay. Now, I want to get into a juicy topic before we get to our guest for this evening. A guy that covers Arkansas, grinds harder than anyone on the Arkansas beat. We'll get to him in a second. Looks like he's having some camera issues. I want to get into just a brief conversation about Gus Malzahn. All right, so there was a juicy tweet out there for Arkansas fans. And GMBFO, thank you for all your comments under my Tennessee film studies. Uh, Ranking my top five SEC. I just saw your comment, Brian. I'll give you a final ranking. Kirby's got to be number one. I don't think you could really argue to the contrary. Uh, but I would probably have Josh number two. I really would. Like I'm that freaking high on him. Uh, Josh or Sark number two, and then I'm just really high on Shane Beamer. And then at number five, it could be a wide variety of people. Um, so there you go. That's about where I am. I think I'd go Brian Kelly number five. Even though he had a colossal coaching mistake versus Clemson this past weekend. Okay, so let me look at this really quickly here. Brian says hype gives us QB easy reads and easy decisions. Yeah, dude, it's insane. All right, let's get to our guest. He's going to tell us if the Arkansas Little Rock game should go away. We say hi to Demetrius Johnson. What's up, man?
Not much, man. Can you hear me good?
Yeah, we can hear you loud and clear. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm all right, man. Forgive me if I look a little sleepy. I've been working overnight, so I just got up to
Well,
hop on the call with you before I go to work.
dude, that's the sports media life, man. I gotta. I might need a with prices being the way that it is. I might be needing a real person job. Tell people what you do, man. Tell everyone about your content.
Yeah, right now, I'm working for On the Hill Media. It's another sports media that covers SEC, not just Arkansas. We do high school football as well. So really just excited for the new year. And then of course I got the studio on the side, so still got the studio in there.
Go produce some
Uh
beats.
yeah, producing beats, got podcasts, and then I got Amazon Flex on the side. So just trying to
And
do whatever I can, stay in the right mind.
well, I'll tell you this as well. As far as the everyday job, I'm serious. I might have to get one pretty soon for the first time in my life because of how things are, dude. It's hard. It's hard.
Nah, that's kind of how I feel. I hadn't had a quote unquote real job in about ooh, 2000 and maybe 19. So it was a big shock to me. I'm just now getting used to working 40 hours a week for
Dang.
somebody else. Yeah, that's new to me. That's a whole new experience for me. So it's a good one. It comes with structure. So I'm just taking the good with everything. So I'm enjoying it.
So you go to SEC Media Days, you interview these athletes, you talk to these athletes, you talk to
Yes,
these
sir.
coaches.
hmm
How do you feel about the Little Rock game every year?
Man, from what I know and what I've seen over the years, and I know it may seem like Sam Pittman is being harsh, but I think it's just an honest reality that we're going into a new era of Arkansas football, and I believe we're trying to modernize it uh, uh, more than it's been in the past. And I think that's one of those old traditions that we may have to get rid of to improve our team. When you talk about opportunities to recruit, there's a rule where you can't talk to your recruits unless you're on your home field at your location. So home field doesn't necessarily mean that whoever's quote unquote home at that field that day, but literally you have to be at your home campus to really do and interact with the recruits in certain ways. So again, I think Arkansas definitely needs to bring that game back to Arkansas, Fayetteville, excuse me, to really uh, I think just involve the recruits a little bit more with the campus, and Fayetteville is a beautiful place. If you haven't came and saw it, it really doesn't do justice. So again, I think it's one of those things that if they can get that extra game at home and really be able to immerse the recruits in Fayetteville, because I think that's what actually sells the program is coming to Fayetteville, seeing what it has to offer, seeing that it's in the middle of nowhere, but it has all the top facilities that you would get at Alabama or LSU. So I think now there's just building that culture to where Arkansas can really do it on a sustainable level and consistent level.
Your thoughts and takeaways from the Alabama A&M game, if anything, because it could just be, it's one of the worst team you'll play on the schedule. But was there anything that you took away from it?
So let me ask you something. Do you want me to be critical, like, hey, the harsh reality of where it is, or do you want me to take a
No, no, no.
optimistic?
I want you to be you. That's
for
why I
sure.
have you on here.
No, for sure. So I feel two ways. You know, I saw some things that I think can give Arkansas a lot of hope. If you've been a fan and seen the program over the years, I think this is the cleanest we've been this early in the year, um, especially from an offensive standpoint. So I think it just shows you the value of Petrino and how year two really can help Taylor. But then I also saw flashes as the game went on. He began to revert to do a lot of things that we saw last year. An example, I feel like he took way too many big hits running the football. You get against SEC schools and you got guys that, are big as you, fast as you, and strong as you, if not stronger. There's a couple of plays that I think maybe wouldn't have went Arkansas's way had they played a team of higher caliber. So, I'm glad Arkansas did get that warm-up game, but I think Arkansas has to start taking an approach of a competing top five championship program. And I think Arkansas has to get back to where they're playing that SEC game is their first game. I can't remember what year, but
Oh, so
um,
wait. You want a more competitive season opener?
yes, I do.
Wow.
I do.
Well, dude, the reason why I say that is because
I do.
if LSU had lost to Clemson,
hmm
LSU fans would be begging to play.
It's okay. That's part of being a top program is playing the best. You can't say you're the best or you want to compete at this level and you're only playing mediocre teams. And I think Arkansas has a better year in quality of team when they play higher caliber opponents early on in the year. Because Arkansas is kind of one of those teams as the year grows, they get better. But sometimes they get better so late in the year that it doesn't translate because they lost so many games early on. And I think it's due to a lack of competition early on in the year. So
Okay, so you would have preferred. Well, it might make sense here because you would have preferred Arkansas play Notre Dame in week 1, is what you're
I
saying.
mean, even an A State, somebody that you can maybe do a better measuring stick to how the SEC is, right? Because even when you look at the offensive line, you're gonna watch that tape and be like, "Oh wow, offensive line did amazing," but then you have to look at the defensive line, look at the size, weight, height, and is this what they're gonna see on a week to week basis in the SEC? Like that's how I look at it. How do you compare to the talent and the teams that you're actually gonna play? So again, to me, it was a glorified practice that again you saw a lot of great flashes. You saw a little bit more cohesiveness amongst the receivers. Like there were great things to take away, but you can't really measure those things on a level of SEC caliber because they didn't play an SEC caliber team. So
So
how
we'll
can you?
we'll see next week versus Arkansas State. I mean,
Yeah, I do, and,
you
and I'm
you
not.
you, you are you
And,
concerned about this game?
um, the only thing I'm concerned about is this. It's like one of those early trap games where you play a team that you know you should beat, but there's this small chance of hope that it's any given Saturday. In this instance, it's any given Saturday. So it just might be a time where Arkansas State may can pull it up just because they believe. Belief is a powerful thing when you're that underdog, and I think A State. We've always said that this game it really can't do anything for Arkansas, right? It's a game that
Yeah.
everybody wants in the state, but like literally, it does nothing for Arkansas to come in here and beat them. Because if they win, it's going to be, hey, you were supposed to be A State, and if they lose, you're going to say, okay, how did you lose to A State? So Arkansas is in a lose-lose situation either way. The only Arkansas State and show like, hey, we're the superior school. We're the SEC school. We're the school that the entire state gets behind and puts the money behind. So again, I think it's one of those trap games, but I do think with the talent Arkansas has and what they show on the offense, I think as the game goes on, I'm not sure if they can handle both. The options at the receiver and then just the quality of running backs that we have in the field. I just feel like as the game where it goes on, we're going to be one of those ground and pound teams that's able to, you know, stretch the field with our receivers and then come in and hit them with the ground and pound at the end of the game. So again, I do hope Arkansas wins that game, but it is one of those question mark games like, hey, you guys can't go in playing Arkansas State like this is a guaranteed W.
Interesting. Um, are you a believer in Arkansas getting to 6 wins this year?
I am, but I think it depends on how focused they are, like these next 2 weeks, right? I believe you saw Notre Dame this week. They didn't look impressive, right? That's who we play after this A-State game. So I feel like if they can go in 3-0 going into what is that A&M game? What's the fourth game on the schedule? Sorry, I don't have it right in front of
No,
me.
no, no. Fourth game is so you play Ole Miss and then you go to Memphis.
Oh, Miss. So again, you're talking about to me these next 3 games after this A-State game is a winnable game. So they actually have an opportunity, right? An opportunity to go in possibly 5-0 if they can stay focused, if they can stay healthy. And then again, if Taylor can make plays that allows him to utilize the weapons around him, because this year I honestly feel like he has a little bit more weapons that he understands, because I think he
Oh,
did.
interesting. See,
Yeah,
I would think the opposite, but I like that you're saying that. You're getting
no, I really do think he has receivers that he understands a little bit more. These
Ooh,
even when you look at like Tesla, right? They didn't really have that chemistry last year. And look at Tesla, how he's producing in the NFL right now. That's a
right.
guy that probably nobody outside of Arkansas knew about and had the opportunity to really develop and see, on the next level. So to me, I think with just how Petrino understand offenses, I think him understanding tailoring helps tailoring faster. You know what I mean? It's like, for instance, when you get married, you're still figuring out your wife, right? That year one, you're going through all these experiences that's helping you develop. So then in year two, you have a better relationship and a core understanding of your partner. And I see that the same way with Taylor Green and Petrino. I think Taylor develops more because now he has a better relationship with his partner and his coach, and Petrino giving him the directions. He understands what Petrino is looking for when he's running these passing concepts. I think he has an idea of who's going to be open, because there were a lot of reads that Taylor made last year but couldn't make the throw. Like he saw it but just couldn't even make the throw, even at even at a level of Alabama A&M. So again, for him to do it and to again throw 6 touchdowns, to me that is a progression of him having a better relationship with the core, not just receivers, but I think the offense as a whole.
I see this comment right here, and obviously it's a one game at a time mentality. You got to mostly worry about beating Arkansas State this weekend. But, I think with Notre Dame losing to Miami, and Notre Dame has Texas A&M coming up soon before they play
Yep.
Arkansas. I think Notre Dame is indeed winnable. I mean, that's
Yeah.
that's not an easy trip, and
At
obviously,
all.
uh, you know, Arkansas fans really get up for like old time games, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. It's gonna be
and
similar to that Texas game.
yeah, and even though Arkansas Notre Dame isn't a rivalry, you have the Lou Holtz angle, if you will, but
For sure.
you like Arkansas is just a big believer in history in college football. I think Arkansas
Absolutely.
fans are going to be really up for that game, no matter if Arkansas drops a few here. So I think that game becomes a little bit more winnable, especially if Notre Dame loses to Texas A&M, and then if they do, they're going to be like, well, we were all the way in the Natty last year. Now they're not playing for as much.
Yeah, for
So
sure.
I like it. So let me ask you this: me and my best friend, he works in the Arkansas school system. Uh, we had drinks the other night, and I got into a huge debate about food in Northwest Arkansas.
For
I
sure.
I think restaurants in Northwest Arkansas aren't as good as restaurants in the other SEC cities,
Hey,
and
look.
you are Mr. Northwest Arkansas. There's no
Nah,
one
hey,
that
hold on
there's
now.
no one that defends Northwest
Hold
Arkansas
on,
like you.
hold on now. Don't throw. I'm gonna have to defend myself real quick now. You can't throw me in that Northwest Arkansas native. I'm from the pound. My people from El Dorado. So
I didn't know you're from El Dorado.
yeah, my people from El Dorado. So I know good
I
cooking.
honestly didn't. I'm from El Dorado too.
Yeah,
So
so
yeah.
Vicky Dobson and Barry Dobson, that's my uncle and aunt. If you're
Oh, I
familiar
didn't
with
know
it.
Barry Dobson. Rest in peace. All right.
Yeah, that's my
I
that's
honestly
actually
had no idea. No
yeah, that's
clue.
actually my uncle. And Miss Dobson is my aunt by blood, and the late Barry Dobson was my uncle by marriage. But yeah, I'm actually I have roots in El Dorado, so I'm just up here quote unquote visiting, man.
I had no clue.
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah,
have no
yeah.
clue.
But I would have to agree with you for sure, having experienced both the southern and northwest Arkansas. Uh, I can agree that the cooking's a little different up here. There's a couple of spots, but it's definitely ain't nothing like some chicken dilly. They don't even know what chicken dilly.
There's
You know what I'm saying? You can't recreate excuse my language, crack chicken. You can't get that
yeah,
crack chicken. No, see, you gotta be from El Dorado to even know what I'm
gotta be
talking
from the
about.
pound. Gotta be from the pound, baby.
home
No,
home of Dan Gafford.
yes, let's go, Dan. Dan, let's go. Yeah, Dan. True story. I gave Daniel Gafford his first ever on-air broadcast interview.
Yep.
When he was only a sophomore. We got a photo somewhere. Still friends with him now. But yeah, I wasn't gonna go like, is South Arkansas food better? I honestly had no clue because we met after the fact. I don't think
Yeah.
you knew that I'm from there as well.
Yeah.
But did you not know that I was from the pound?
No, I didn't know you were actually from there. I know you covered it because my
Yeah, yeah,
uncle,
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, I'm from Baton Rouge, but I went
yeah,
to high
my
school
my,
in
my
Delaware.
uncle actually is the one that told me about you. He gave me your contact and reached out. He's like, "Hey man, this is the guy that covers the school, and I know you
Wow.
cover the SEC." Yeah, so
Barry was a wonderful, wonderful man, wonderful football broadcaster as well.
yeah,
So yeah, so shout out to Mia, shout out to everyone in the fam.
for
Um,
sure.
it's interesting because I got into that debate with my friend, and I was like, yeah, I guess Northwest Arkansas food, and I've gone up there plenty of times, so it isn't just, hey, I went to Hugo's once and I didn't think it was like all that. And
Hugo's,
I don't want Hugo's catching a stray right here.
nah, and they're good. They're
Yeah, yeah,
good.
it's just not like
I,
and I know I'm from Baton Rouge and everyone would say that's the best food city of the
nah,
SEC
for
school.
sure. It's arguably for sure
Yeah, so
between New
I'm
Orleans
not
and
including
Houston.
I'm
Yeah,
not
between.
including Baton Rouge in there, right? Athens has elite, elite cuisine.
Hmm,
It's got elite everything, everything.
okay.
But I enjoyed my food when I went to College Station and all that stuff. But Arkansas, it just never hit. It never hit.
Man, you gotta go. Like I said, you used to a little different seasoning, so you just gotta know where to go to. And I'm no disrespect to Hugo's. Hugo's is cool. So this is what I say. Northwest Arkansas, they focus more on experience than the food, if that makes
Okay.
sense. They
Yeah.
care about the ambiance of where you eat it, the environment. Where we from, it can be a hole in the wall, and we
Yeah.
don't care. We just want to
Right.
make sure it's seasoned right,
That's
right?
it. That's all.
We
That's
just
all I
want to
care
make sure the food is fooding. So again, I would say that's the biggest difference. There's a couple of spots, Ray Dubs, um, there's a couple of spots that I actually like. More so the food trucks. I will say that.
about.
Try some of the food trucks. There's some great food trucks around Northwest Arkansas area that's great. I don't really, I grew up in Korea, so I eat a lot of Asian food. So
Oh, okay. I didn't know that either.
yes, yeah, I grew up in Korea from what, eighth grade to 12th till I graduated. So
Okay.
I'm big on anything rice. If I can find some good sticky rice, man, you got me sold for sure.
Right. Right. Last thing before we let you go, get ready for the real world here. You,
I like how you put
dude,
that.
I like when you said that, I was like,
The
that's
Hunger.
not,
I call it the Hunger
yeah,
Games.
dude. I will say this because someone else is going through this right now.
Mhm.
Um, someone who's actually, and this is more of a stand-up thing. Someone who's actually been on the highest stage of stand-up comedy. I see him. He was like, "Hey, y'all, I got to get a real job." He's got hundreds of thousands of social media followers,
For
and he's
sure.
like, y'all, I got to go to work. I won't be posting as much." And I'm like, yeah, I might be following suit pretty soon. So send me the application. I'll
No,
be,
for sure. And
yeah.
this what I'll say too, man. Our people that consume your content, I hope they understand the time that you put in. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Traveling to these places, going to away games, because some of these things that we do as media members, I think a lot of people think we quote unquote get paid for it, but there's a lot of things that we do for the love of the game and the love of just reporting truthful information and experiences from the university to whoever is a fan of the University of Arkansas. But I say that to say, man, if you're consuming any of Carter's information and content, man, I would ask that you support him in any way. If he has
Dude,
Patreons, if he has any donation links, man, make sure to support him, because that's what allows him to build the extra budget to go out of his way to. Because I remember, I mean, I loved your content where you were breaking down play by play. It was almost like a high school chalk talk where you're breaking it down, but
I
like
love it.
people don't understand how long that takes to do those takes and break down a game
Yeah.
footage, and but that's content that they want. But again, I would ask that the people that do consume your content make sure they support you, because that's really how who appreciates your work, because they understand that there's value behind the information that you're giving them and the access and the time that you're taking to present it to them. So again, if you're listening, make sure you find any way to go in and support them, even if it's just a cash up and say, "Hey man, what's your cash up? Can I send you $1?"
Yeah. Yeah.
That dollar goes a long way. So
It does,
again,
dude.
uh,
People
uh,
don't
uh,
understand. It
uh,
is.
uh let's go on a run and campaign to make sure Carter does not have to come over to the Hunger Games, and he can
Dude,
continue.
I
He can
I'm
continue
ready.
to provide the best Arkansas and LSU content out there.
Yeah, dude. I'm ready to clock in. I was
Hey,
talking about.
until they keep you there all day and you're ready to go, man.
Yeah. No, I was talking to my wife about it, and she would be like, "You would be terrible in the real world, real world." So she was like, "Get your shite
Hey, hey, hey.
together and make some dope videos." But I want to ask you about how you view the Arkansas program moving forward, because there's a lot of conversation about Sam Pittman's future. So, do you
Yeah,
believe he'll be the coach of the future, or
man.
I don't think
Honestly,
you. I don't think he'll be here next year.
I think it's all contingent upon this year. I think if he
Okay.
goes on this run, that I think he has the ability to, and I'm telling you, I am critical on Arkansas, right? So me saying that they have the chance to beat Notre Dame, I'm legit telling you how I feel, because I have no problem saying, hey, they're not prepared. Hey, their defensive line didn't give me the push that I thought they should have got. The pass rush looked a little suspect. There's things that I can go in and point out that will give you every reason to think Arkansas is the same Arkansas of old, but I actually see them taking steps from the time Sam took over to now. Man, there's a big difference. Even when you talk about quality of depth, even when you talk about receivers, even when you talk about KJ Jackson going in as a second string, and you almost seeing no drop off between him and Taylor. Actually, there were moments where some people like some of the play of KJ Jackson better than Taylor, just depending on
Oh,
what you were watching and what you like. So again, I think those are things we hadn't seen since maybe the Allen boys, where you had two quarterbacks where you comfortably felt, hey, this is number one and number two. Because for so long we were under that KJ Jefferson era where there was only
only
in,
KJ.
yeah,
Yeah.
it was only KJ. Like if we didn't have KJ, we knew we were done at the quarterback position. So like just even having a three deep quarterback position shows me like, hey, we're actually taking steps. Again, to me, it's just going from good to great and from great to elite. Those are three different categories of what it even takes and what a program has to do to get to that level. And honestly, to me, I'm like, if you go get rid of Sam, who do you go get that's more qualified?
Oh, I think there would be a lot of interest in this job if if you could get the same NIL push that a guy like Cal was able to get.
No,
Uh,
I agree, but just again, what if we just gave Sam the same budget? Who's to say he can't produce at that level?
yeah,
If
it's
we
it's ju- but here would be my thing is it's hard when these people if you were to go get them to write a check that would need to be Texas Tech level to get people truly excited. you're probably not going to get those checks if Sam is 6-6 again this
Oh,
year.
I
So
agree.
so you need that juice, you need that excitement, you need something new, if you will. And I've never really felt this way about the Arkansas job. Anyone that's known me, I'm in a group chat with 13 Razorbacks, and I'm the only LSU guy in there. Um, it's dead when you're talking about Arkansas football, really. And I do think the right guy could come in and get some shit rolling. I try not to curse on here, but I was like, I've gotten to meet some of these people that I can write these checks,
Mhm.
and I really do think Arkansas could get sexy, and I don't think it's like a Rhett Lashley or someone like that, but
Okay, I'm with you. Okay, I'm glad you didn't say names like that. If you're
no, I
talking,
don't think. I think it's just too
if
obvious.
you because
It's
I
very
agree. I
obvious,
think Arkansas is one of those places. If you do want to go from good to great and great to elite, you do have to go get a Calipari S coach for football. You do have to
right?
go get one of those names because this is one of those places that you have to want to be here. It
Right.
does have to be like a Texas Tech where you're in the middle of Lubbock and there's nothing around and you're here to play football. You're here to get an opportunity to go to the next level. And I think you're starting to see that. I think, and trust me, I'm not even on the Sam Pittman train. I'm just speaking from what I've seen over the years and what I've known and what I've seen coaches come in and promise. And unless you're going to get somebody from the SEC that has experience in winning, I think it's a bad idea.
Ooh.
I don't believe. I mean, even when you look at, and it's still early on, the war at Alabama. You click and
Would you be opposed to a celebrity coach like?
no, not at all. If
Okay,
if
so
if
it's
he
like someone
if
like John Gruden, or if
yeah,
Dion wanted to try or
no,
something.
I was a big Dion fan. I feel like
Okay,
Dion would have changed the program. But my thing about that is, if they can't go get a staff that can allow them to be the superstar and allow them to still have the coaching of what a quote unquote SEC staff can apply, Arkansas still going to be behind because they're going to have names that they can't develop. So you can go get the big name head coach if these guys still don't have coaches that understand the SEC, because this is a very unique place. And I do think NIL regulates it a little bit more because now it's not about, oh, if you want to be here, but also can I afford you to be here. That's another
right,
element that in the past you didn't really have to be, you didn't really have to think about. You know what I mean? You were really selling the university, you were really selling tradition, you were really selling geography. But now you're hiring, you're hiring work. It's work for hire. They don't want to call it that, they call it NIL, but to me it's work for hire. So I think even when you're talking about recruiting, that process looks a little different. And if you can go get these quote unquote high celebrity name coaches, it does make that opportunity to even be heard. Because I think there's a lot of kids that wouldn't even thought about Arkansas on the basketball side had not, we went and got Coach K. So it does make a difference. But you go look at the staff that Coach K brought with him, it allows him to be a coach. It allows him to be that superstar guy to
right.
where my staff understands what I want. My staff understands the coaching philosophy, and I think basketball is a little easier because the number of players that it takes to be successful. Basketball, you can have three guys and two bench players and still have a quality team. Versus football, man, if you don't got 22 guys on your roster, it's going to be trouble in the SEC. You
And
can't.
then also what makes it worse for Arkansas is like the state of Arkansas produces so many NBA guys per capita. Like,
Exactly.
it's truly insane.
Yeah,
Like it's wild.
I call it the proximity effect, right? There's the proximity of me seeing an NBA player in Arkansas is higher than me seeing a proximity of an NFL player.
It is wild when I never thought of it like that. It's kind
Yeah,
of wild to think about.
yeah, I think about it like that because
God, that is really wild to think. I need to go look that up to see if there actually is more NBA Arkansas native players than NFL
So I'll put it like this. I
That
bet
actually
you
is
I bet
interesting.
you when you look up the stats, because now it's a numbers game, right? If you got 52 guys that have an opportunity to go to the the NFL, I don't know what the number is, right? I'm just speaking hypothetically. And then you have 11 guys getting drafted in the NBA, odds are the one with the higher probability of numbers of people is probably gonna be higher. So
Yeah, yeah,
I would think football has more actual NFL, but I think the difference is the level of success that we've had in basketball. Right, we've had a Hall of Fame basketball coach. We've had a national championship team that was in the prime of basketball. Building college basketball. So again, I think when you talk about reflections and when you look around, because I used to think about it in relation to music, right? You don't see a lot of music artists in Northwest Arkansas, but if I go to El Dorado, it's plenty of. I can throw a rock and hit an artist, but it's because the area has shown people to be successful artists in the area. It may
yeah.
not be
I don't know a whole. I
yeah,
mean,
it may not be
I
plentiful, but what I'm getting
yeah,
to is that you see an example of what you can be, so it helps you kind of pick a career because you see the things that you desire to be around you. So it makes it a little bit more believable in your head that I can achieve this because I know somebody and I'm in proximity to somebody that already is what I want to become. If that makes sense.
yeah.
So like
There are a lot of talented
yeah, so,
producers
so
that are.
like even when you talk about basketball names, right? Let's just use Dan for example. El Dorado doesn't have a football guy that you can think off the top of your head that can come into Arkansas or El Dorado and the whole town comes out for them.
Oh yeah, it's not even. I mean, no one's gonna.
Not even close, right?
Yeah, not even
But
close.
you can see Dan, and when you cut NBA on, you see him talking to Shaq after the game.
Right, it's
So,
crazy.
so
Yeah.
now you got kids from Hager Neal that would never ever
A
see.
good deal. Let's
Yeah, you
go.
see, you got kids from Hager Neal that would never see an NBA player talk about how this kid, the same kid from Hager Neal, grew up here and now he's on NBA, and I think it gives them the ability to see themselves in that position. So I think you see a lot of that in Arkansas. You see basketball pushed to the forefront when you talk about all the guys from Little Rock that have been successful. Bobby Portis, Joe Johnson, and you're talking about elite status. We're not talking about just
Yeah, it's
getting
like good players.
exactly,
Well aware. Yeah.
exactly. Even when you think about football players that came from University of Arkansas and went to the league and did great things. We got guys that won Super Bowls and we don't even know their name,
Right.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And
That is interesting.
that's but you can name the basketball players right now: Isaiah Joe, you can Moody. You can automatically,
Right.
rip their name off. So again, to me, it's proximity in what we promote because that goes back to are we a football state or a basketball state?
Oh, you're
And
a
a lot of
basketball
people,
state.
exactly.
Yeah.
So
And Arkansas fans don't want to admit it, but
no,
you know, Draymond Green did a basketball camp here. Now it wasn't his camp; it was Moody's camp. But
for sure,
that's the pull that Arkansas basketball has, and I guarantee there's a lot of kids that are like, I want to be a basketball player
yeah.
when Draymond Green is in your state.
And
I
I'm
no
I'm
go ahead.
glad I didn't mean to cut you off, but I'm
No, go
glad you
ahead.
mentioned camps too, because like even when you think about high school football, because when people talk about the University of Arkansas getting better, I think it starts on a high school level. Like a lot of people just like to think about it on a oh, they're University of Arkansas. They can go anywhere and recruit. But to me, if you can't get a base foundation from in-state, and I'm not even saying your team has to be 50% from the university, I mean, from your home state. But what I'm saying is you do at least have to have conference level talent in your area that you can go homegrown pick year in and year out, right? So let's just say 50 players in the state of Arkansas, you actually might have 5 players that can actually develop and go play on SEC teams. That's not bad.
Right.
Even though we might have 50 guys that go D1, we only have 5 that can actually play in the SEC. I'm not talking about get on rosters and make the team. I'm talking about actually get on rosters and have a Darren McFadden type impact. We don't have those versus the Texases, the Floridas, the Louisiana. So again, I think it starts on high school football in the amount of energy that you see. You see a lot of high end basketball camps. You see hoops mixtape come to Arkansas and Fayetteville. You don't see those big Nike camps come to Arkansas for football camps. So
No, you
again,
don't.
you
Yeah,
don't
and I've gotten into some pretty uh because while I'm not an Arkansas Razorback fan, I am very passionate about Arkansas high
For
school
sure.
sports. That's why you might not know this, but I got back into the play-by-play booth for Arkansas high school football. I
No,
mean,
I didn't know that.
yeah. So I care a lot about Arkansas high school football, and I've talked to Pinto and a few other people about
Pinto.
yeah, one of
Shout
my
out Pinto.
lifelong friends, and we were talking about like facilities and football and all of it. It's a very interesting debate, but I want, obviously you're getting ready to go into work, but if somebody can actually look this up, if I would guess that there probably still are more Arkansas natives in the NFL than in the NBA,
Yeah, for sure.
but I would say so, but I don't know. It would be very interesting because now I can't. Now I just want to go look this up.
No, for sure. It would be an interesting. Like I said, I'm just going off speculation. It's just pure probability. Just
Yeah, you wouldn't think
looking at the
that's
math, you would
possible.
think. But
Yeah,
you may be right that just overall, it might be basketball
yeah,
for sure.
yeah, yeah. Well, we'll have you on again too on the Hill Media, Demetrius Johnson. Check out his music, producing, all the good stuff, and we'll have you on again soon, man. Thank you so much.
No, for sure. I enjoy coming to talk football with you every time, man. Anytime you need me, holler at me.
Yeah, let's go, Demetrius Johnson. Where can they find you on social?
So I'm not on Twitter. I like to talk versus type. I'm not the best speller, so I try to stay away from Twitter. Oh, excuse me, X now. So
X.
we are on Facebook. So just look us up on Facebook. Just type in On the Hill Media. A lot of high school coverage in Northwest Arkansas. If you're big in Fayetteville sports, Bentonville sports, we really try to keep our hold on this side of the conference for 7A football. So again, if you're into high school sports, we do cover 7A football and the SEC. So again, just look us up on the Hill Media. We're on Instagram and on Facebook. You can check us out on YouTube. A lot of our content's on there. So shout out to my partner Pat Jenkins.
There you go. All right, we'll talk soon, man.
Yeah, for sure. Take care, man.
All right, Tennessee fans. We got a bunch of Tennessee fans in the chat. I want to do something for you guys really quickly because I am all about that life. Let's see. I know this isn't the best photo. I just pulled this up as quick as I could. There we go. That's what I'm talking about. This is where I want to be. This is the mecca of college football outside of Death Valley. The real Death Valley that was settled this past weekend. I love this name, Vols to the Walls. I know I'm behind, but I think Barry Odom needs to be an SEC coach again. So that's going to be the name that is most closely associated with the opening at Arkansas, if there is an opening. Obviously, the one thing Barry would have over all the other candidates would be the want to, right? He loves Northwest Arkansas. And it's not so much him, but what has been explained to me is that his family loves Northwest Arkansas a whole hell of a lot. Okay. That matters. It really matters. Okay. Especially if you're a coach, you want your family at home to be having a good time or enjoying where you are. Okay. So that alone gets me excited about a potential Barry Odom back at Arkansas. But, it depends. Let's just say Mike Elko has a big year. Mike Elko would be the model, the Barry Odom model, right? So yeah, I guess I could get down with Barry Odom at Arkansas. To me, the most controversial name would be Gus Malzahn. Another guy with heavy Arkansas ties, obviously. But I also understand the downside of that. But still, I want to talk a little bit more about Tennessee. What is the realistic expectation for Tennessee moving forward? Okay. So we get to hear Tennessee, and you see that their schedule becomes a lot more winnable. Now that Arkansas, we'll see how they really look this next weekend, but Alabama looks very beatable. We'll see what Kentucky looks like versus Ole Miss. Then you have Oklahoma. One thing I will say, because I am so unfreaking believably high of Josh Heupel, I'm so high on him, is that the one thing Heupel does give you is he is constantly going to be there. He is constantly going to be the offense. You can lose all your coordinators, all your players. You have an offense that just needs viable pieces for it to work. Now, I'm not saying the players that Tennessee have right now aren't great. I'm not saying that at all. They are good football players. But the truth is that Josh Heupel is the one who gets this thing going. And to me, those that say he may not have a high ceiling or that offense is always going to run into it is horse manure. But they are right that Josh Heupel is always going to give your program a really good floor. So I'm just so unfreaking believably impressed by him. And I don't say it for Tennessee clicks. I don't say it to appease the viewers of Tennessee. I don't make a gazillion dollars on those film studies unless I can get a partner. I'm still looking for a sports betting partner, someone in Tennessee to just own my film studies, if you will. But I get a lot of messages from Vols fans saying that they appreciate it. But I want you to know that if I think something is crappy, I will tell you if it's crappy. Dylan Sampson is better than any running back that you have on your roster. But you still have the system. You still do have the system. Okay? I'm still a believer. Still a believer. Will always be a believer in Josh Heupel. If he were ever around, I'd buy him a beer. Love me some Josh Heupel. Let's see. All right. Let's go to Georgia. I want to talk a little bit about the Dogs. Okay. Let's see. All right. We'll take a quick break. And when we come back, I'm going to give you a few thoughts on what I saw from Georgia and if this could be the year that Tennessee finally beats the Dogs. Are you missing that sweet swing? If pain is holding your golf game back, you must check out the full simulator at the Lafayette location of Laborde Therapy Center. Yes, Chase and his team built this simulator to go along with a full set of programs catered to your needs. Yes, this entire team at Laborde Therapy worked hard to fix that back, your elbow, shoulders, wrists, knees, toes, it doesn't matter. At their Lafayette location, 337-981-4053. Call today. But what if you don't golf? And what if you don't live in Lafayette? No problem. They fix anything therapy related. Book today, labordetherapy.com, with locations in Carencro, Youngsville, Morgan City, and Crowley. Labordetherapy.com. LABORDE therapy.com. Let's go. All right. My apologies. My mother was knocking on the door. And she said, "Hey, I brought you a calzone." So anytime your mother knocks on the door. You go see if she's for real. And she did indeed bring me a calzone. So I'm going to devour that whenever I'm done with this. But I do think, as far as looking at the tape from Georgia Marshall, I thought Marshall would have put up a slightly better fight if they could act like they've seen zone read before. And, well, they play like they hadn't seen zone read before, which is something that you think you could learn without hitting. But the Gunner Stockton run game was cooking. Zachariah Branch looked good. Obviously, the Noah Thomas story, no, I'd say story. There really isn't a story. I'm still a believer in Noah Thomas moving forward. And for me, I think Tennessee can't beat Georgia this year. I do. And I also think, as the NFLification of the sport continues to happen, the SEC is just going to become more chaotic. Who do I like in Michigan and Oklahoma? I am actually going to go with the Sooners, even though I'm not a Venables guy, and that run game was yucky versus Illinois State. You know, I don't know. I think the most predictable season for Oklahoma this year will be 8-4, a 7-5, 8-4 type of campaign. But John Mateer will be good enough for the Oklahoma brass to say, look, we want to run it back with the same quarterback head coach. We just got Jim Nagy as the general manager. So I'm going to go with Oklahoma beating Michigan here in week 2. But run game, got to get it going. And it should get going if you have a quarterback like Mateer who could run. And then defensively, there's nothing you could really take away other than R. Mason Thomas is up there as top 10 defensive player in the SEC, maybe in the country. He's good. He's really good. That defense is going to be nasty for Oklahoma. And this is going to be Bryce Underwood's first true test. So, yeah, I mean, I think the quarterback matchup between these two schools will be really hyped up. But I think it'll also be kind of like Garrett Nussmeier versus Kate Klubnik, where this game is kind of a slugfest. So there you go. Now, that'll do it for me. We'll be live every Monday, 5 p.m. Arkansas and Tennessee in particular, live chats. But we'll go through Oklahoma. We'll go through everything every Monday, 5 p.m. Central. And we'll see you next week. It is Power Hour SEC. Boom. Tonight, we are doing that's a sexy prediction. Banks gets a head coaching spot, and Venables comes to be the defensive coordinator after getting fired. Interesting. Tonight we are doing calzones. Thanks to my mom. Let's go. Let's go.